All right, I think Brian's on a phone call,
Yeah, I did see that.
so. Lee, are you ready?
We're ready.
Okay, I will call the meeting to order. Its agenda, date, time, and location were properly announced. Sorry we were a little late. We were in a committee meeting, but we're here and ready to go. So we'll start with the approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 19th, 2020, the annual meeting of October 26th, 2020, and the board retreat of November 2nd, 2020. Is there a motion to approve? Amy? Is there a second? Rini? Any questions, corrections, any of that? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have payment of the bills. Is there a motion to approve the amount for October of $973,424.27? Matt and Chuck, any questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And the cash summary?
I don't think there's anything special on there for today. I didn't get any questions.
Anybody have any questions on the cash summary today? All right, great. Donations.
I did not have any donations reported to me for this month.
Okay. And comments from the public. Do we have any? None submitted and none here. Okay. Moving right along. Building reports.
Okay, so I have ladies here. Let me get the volume way up. Are you stealing books?
Apparently.
Brian walked in, the alarm went off.
Well, at least you're bringing them back.
Found the one in the middle.
Sandy, do you get the start?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Both Susan and I are very pleased to report that we did have a very successful end to the first quarter. At that point, we had all but I believe 3 days virtual. So, we did a lot of shifting and twisting and turning to make it as long as we possibly could, but it was a successful end to our first quarter. So it's hard to believe the first quarter is over. We are utilizing Travis Olson and Andrea Peterson, working with our PLC teams at grade levels and at departments to start using Wise-Local. That's a program that we started in uploading information to last year. And it allows us to take all of the local data that we have on students, for as long as we have data on students, and load it up so that we can not only look at longitudinal data, but we can also put in interventions and track the interventions that we are doing with students. So hats off to Travis and Andrea for spending so much time to try to get all of the data that we had and all of the data that we continue to get up into Wise-Local, and for starting to teach our staff how to use it. ACT interim exams. The data is being used by department PLCs to make instructional modifications and give us a little guidance as to where lessons need to go to make sure that we are filling in any identified instructional gaps that we see with students. So we've got a lot of awesome things going on in the classroom. Strong culture. Susan, you could chime in on this, but I know that the PBIS team at the elementary, and I'm pretty sure at the middle school and high school as well, because of us having virtual students from day one and having in-person students, we are working to include all students in what we are doing for positive behavior interventions. And we've taken some pretty interesting steps to include our virtual students. Susan, I know you've got some specific things at the middle school going on for students that are virtual. But in the elementary, we are trying to expand upon our be respectful, be responsible, and be safe. And we're putting that into the virtual world as well, so that our virtual students do have access to our PBIS system. And we did have some fun during Halloween week. Middle school did the Spirit Week, where they had dress-up days each day of the week. And elementary found a way to continue to do our costume parade. With a little help from Mother Nature, we were able to go outside. We had all of our students present that day, and we had our virtual students parading as well via laptops and iPads that were held by other students in the parade. So it was really quite fun.
Well, to jump in on the PBIS teams, like Sandy was saying, the middle and the high school are both doing virtual Rambucks for our students, and also having monthly drawings just with our virtual students as well. So that's been kind of fun to be trying to do different ways to reach out to all of our students and connect them with each other. So
It
strong
gives them a
community.
little lifeline back into the culture of school.
Yeah.
They have been, virtual for a while. So I find that it's working out quite well.
Mm-hmm. So our strong community connection. So last week, Wednesday, was Veterans Day, and we continued our tradition of holding a Veterans Day assembly. It was a modified version. We were in the auditorium with our veterans who were able to attend. Our band was able to play doing the Star Spangled Banner, and our choir was also able to present. They sang Flanders Field, and it really overall was a wonderful program. Roger Jones, whom everyone knows and loves, was our speaker and just did a phenomenal job, really talking about how, as a community, as a school, we're together, coming together for unity. So it really was quite a moving assembly. So well done to everyone who put that together. And distinguished alumni nominations. So I believe Gary's probably out there in the crowd. So I am getting that form. Well, the new form should be up tomorrow. So we're going to be opening that up for our distinguished alumni nominations. And Gary and I are part of the committee, and certainly looking for one or two more people to add to our committee as well. So just thought I'd put it out there. As we look at looking at our next distinguished alumni. So those nominations will be open from now through January, and then we'll be taking a look at those applications. So next up, a few students that want to give some shout outs to with the excellent work that they've been doing in the athletic field. So first off, Callie Van Horn and Blake Bieber, they made it to state in cross country. Hallie came in took second place overall. So both Hallie and Blake gave it their all, left everything out on that trail. So they did a phenomenal job. And then volleyball all conference was McKenna Armstrong, made first team, and Becca Arndt made honorable mention. So well done to those ladies. For boys soccer, Parker Scholler and Cole Singer both made second team all conference. So well done to those boys. As well as I wanted to end with then Tanner Birnbaum and Matt Najedlo. They participated in our virtual Model UN held through Carthage College. It was an all virtual format this year. And then Matt was recognized as the distinguished delegate for portrayal of a UN Security Council member representing the Dominican Republic. So well done to all the students with their accomplishments there for the athletics as well as Model UN participation.
Great. Any questions? Thank you. Board committee reports. Committee of the whole. We started discussing COVID and the reentry plans, just reviewing those. That's later on the agenda yet tonight. Administrative and support staff.
We met tonight and discussed the board staff handbook and have a recommendation on it.
And the same for teacher negotiation.
Correct. Yep.
All right. So then that takes us to item 8, which is the actual discussion of COVID and the reentry update. In our earlier meeting, we just kind of went over the surveys that were put out to staff as well as parents. Mike, do you want to?
I'll just kind of, since some of our participants at home can't see it, I'll just kind of read through the graph, the little statement of each one, so everybody knows where we're at. And yeah, if you could bring that up, that'd be great, Kim. So for our parent survey, we put it out about a week and a half ago, had 262 participants, and really the first question was, overall, how did first quarter of the school year go for your family? And we wanted to ask our parents, are we doing everything possible to keep your children safe and learning? Are we doing a fair job, or are we actually, are we not doing enough? And 97.3% of our parents tell us that we're doing a fair to everything possible, with 83.2 giving us that highest grade. So that's a tribute to our staff, from our teachers to our custodians to our lunch team. I feel we are doing everything, and we're going to continue trying to get better from there. Next was, how did in-person learning go? We know we have a lot of things that are different this year than were last year, and as you boil it down, only 4.2% of the respondents believe that we fell below expectations, and with a high percentage saying that we're better than expected or about as expected. So I think another indicator of what the adults in our district are doing. Virtual, a little, I think, and I would say as a district, that's the newest mode that we have. And at that one, 17.2% of the respondents believe we fell below expectations. Still good, but I can tell you we're better today than we were even when the survey came out a week and a half ago. So always working on that. Next question is, how concerned are you with sending your students to school? And I have here 32.8% of the respondents were either somewhat to very concerned about sending students to school, which that's actually up a little bit from 26.7 in July when we asked our parents. And
What is that virtual percentage? Like 100% virtual?
100% virtual, that number's fluctuated. I would say a consistent number, I would say, is about 15%. It was a little less, and then we got to some points of having to exclude students for quarantine. There was one time that we got up to 30% of our population as a district were virtual. We had a time in the high school, I bet you that was even close to 40% of the high school was virtual because of quarantines and exclusions. So, but about 15 to 17% chose 100% virtual. The other ones were because of situations. Overall satisfaction of in-person, highly satisfied or satisfied with direct instruction from both our core and our elective teachers. Again, highly satisfied to satisfied with assignments and resources, and meeting individual students' needs. Just I thought some really high remarks. Virtual, again, a little, not quite the same high remarks, but still overall more satisfied than highly satisfied, but I thought still be positive. And then the last piece, and that's where I really want to have some conversations about here, is, going forward, we asked our parents what were the modes that they would find most appropriate. And 64.5% of the respondents said they preferred 100% in-person learning, followed by 43.5 believed the 4-day week would be appropriate. 42.7 thought the academic Fridays, which we just had one last Friday, would be appropriate. And 21.8 believe that virtual between Thanksgiving and New Year's would also be appropriate. So,
I just have a question on that. Is were these parents allowed to choose more than one?
Yes.
This?
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. So we asked them to choose every one that they felt, check all that apply, that they thought they'd be comfortable with. Yes.
Okay.
So, And then if you can pull up the teacher, we have 2 surveys out. The staff survey isn't back yet, but the teacher survey, we asked our teachers, our number one resource for educating, how concerned are they with being at school? And 84% said they were either somewhat concerned or very concerned. And that's, as numbers rise and the things that are happening. As you can see up there, what are some of their concerns? Concerned about contracting COVID themselves, giving it to a family member, personal health issues. There's a lot of different reasons why people have concerns about working in these times, that no matter what industry you're in. Education is one, but other ones have those things. Improvements to help address those concerns. The most that came out was communication, and I think administration, we've done some things to streamline our communication. We've created a cadence of who and when should get communicated, how does that work. I feel like that's going much better. And what do our teachers need most? Time, the gift of time. And that's one thing we had with Academic Friday. I can tell the group here, in the conversations I've had with staff, I heard in my informal conversations, 100% of the students that were supposed to show up because they didn't have their work done on Friday morning showed up. I heard really good discussions happened. And then the time was used to get ready for Monday since we were switching virtual. So thank you to the board for giving that time, letting us make sure that some of our students that are struggling maybe get a little extra one-on-one, and also give our groups ready to get ready for today. So that's that piece. That's the update. The other one, just for this crew,
I
has.
do have one question.
Yes, please.
Same question for, what were some of the concerns? Was it just one response per, or were they able to select multiple?
This was an open question, and from the open question, people wrote what their overall concerns were, and then we grouped them together in different themes. So it was a much more open-ended question, and then try to find those themes within the concerns of our staff. There was a lot of one-offs in a lot of different areas, but these were the big ones that came through.
All right, thank you.
And then the only other update, and we got this out to the staff on Friday, our rapid testing clinic is live, starting today. Our staff can either go to Oshkosh, a couple places up in the Green Bay area, Hartford, and get a test any morning, Monday through Thursday, and we will have the results either that night or the next morning. So our Oostburg location is being held up because the hospital is in such a backlog to give that, but we can now send them to the other sites. So I feel much better about having that and having the response rate quicker. So that's my piece. What are your questions?
I know we've all talked about how concerned we are for our teachers and burnout and teaching on 2 platforms. And will there be a time, for the sake of our teachers, that we would consider the 4-day school work week and then academic Fridays? Would that be helpful to them? And is that something where there's an open line of communication where if we decide that is an option, where they would be able to say, that's what we need right now because we are really getting burned out?
I can tell you, just in all the conversations, I meet weekly with Meet and Confer with the president of Meet and Confer, and we do that. Time is the number one thing. We've asked all of our adults across the board, be it our lunch team that's preparing lunches here and then also being out in the parking lot to do grab and go, our teachers that are teaching in person but also have virtually, to people in HR that have to figure out what's cares and what's not cares and all this other stuff. Time is the number one thing that we're trying to manufacture for our staff. So with burnout as our number one piece, we've talked, I think Sandy and Susan have done a wonderful job of talking about compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is actually caring too much and actually burning yourself out doing it. Those are real concerns that we have. And I can speak with the conversations I had, that any way that we can help that not happen, I think helps the entire system. Because if you feel like you have more time, you will have better lessons. Those better lessons are better for students. So yes, I think any way we can find time is positive.
Is another option, or what would be better, going to a 4-day in-person with Academic Resource Friday, or flipping to 1 week of virtual, just to take a break and go to one platform?
I would ask the parents in the room, Amy, because I think that's what do you feel for your kiddos? Would it be easier to know every Friday, or wait till like we did here and flip?
I think that like having them, it's hard to say. My one daughter's been home for like 2 weeks already on a quarantine, and now she's got to be home another 2 weeks on a, virtual anyway. So, I mean, for me, it's not too bad because I have, 3 kids at home and they're older, but I can't imagine these parents of young children trying to figure out how to educate their kids and being at work all day. I can't fathom.
If I can plan, it's easier, the flipping of all that.
Yeah.
I'm in a unique position, right? My wife and I work for my company, right? That's not typical, and I would have to imagine not having that ability to plan is a giant problem. So I would make the argument that if we could say, hey, every Friday, allows everyone to go back to their employer, go, hey, Friday, my kids are home.
I agree.
My question is 1 day enough, though, if you do 4 days in person, and one, does that give them the time that they actually need, or that they're asking for from a staff perspective?
I don't think there's ever, with where we're at, I think where we're all at as a society, there's not enough time to recover from this. We're going to need all 2021 to actually recover from this. So I think we have to balance student learning. We're here for student learning. And the most important thing for student learning is making sure that we have adults that feel like they're supported, they're cared for, and they're there for kids. So I don't know, what that is. I think 1 day is a great start. It would be a good start. And then we're going to be talking about this every month until a vaccine is out and we don't even know how to spell COVID anymore. So.
And I think for the mental health of the kids and staying in school as much as possible, like we talked about in the past, is the best option. Concerning the young kids, I mean, yeah, they have to have somebody there teaching them, but the older ones not being able to be around other kids and have a normal, everyday life and leave their house, I think it's very beneficial for them to be here.
Yeah, I would agree 100% with that. I'd vote, from my standpoint, 5 days in-person instruction would be ideal, but the 4 days plus the academic resource on a Friday would probably be second choice, in my opinion. But
I think we have to give a lot of weight to that survey. People, these are taxpayers that are telling us what they'd like to see based on those that responded. I think that in school is clearly what the majority want to see continue. And I think we should offer them that opportunity as long as possible. And I think the 4-day plus the Friday, academic Friday, I think that's a good blend because we are concerned about teachers and burnout, but this is the best we can do for now.
And I will say there's some secondary, having a 3-day weekend has some secondary impacts positive for cleaning purposes. There's a lot of other things that we know, last I heard, and everything changes, but the virus lasts about 3 days. So that Friday can be a really another deep clean, ready to come back Monday. It allows the system catch up. So there will be some secondary benefits to that.
Well, and not only that, you have one less day of contact. I think it would be a good idea to do it, and then that gives us, if we do commit to doing this for a certain number of weeks, that gives us a little bit of time to be able to monitor those numbers and see, is this making a benefit? Is this enough? And we can just plow through, or do we need to put in a break somewhere that we add in a virtual week so that we can, add additional distance, or the 4 days is plenty and we can just go through?
So I have a question because I'm not clear what we're actually talking about. Are we talking about the AR Fridays for in-person and virtual when we're 100% virtual? Or are we talking about AR Fridays, only one or the other? Like, if we're in person, 5 days a week, would they have an AR Friday? Or are we talking they're 100% virtual and they have an AR Friday?
I would,
Or are we
as a parent
Somewhere
of young kids,
in between?
I would make the suggestion that Fridays be virtual, or we keep it to the notion that these teachers have a catch-up day, help, the students that need help, kind of a catch-up day, and just keep it virtual. Just that way, I know as a parent, on Fridays, my kids are gonna be home. I have to work from home or I have to sit or whatever. But that's the opportunity for my kid to, if they're falling behind homework, get caught up, have, time one-on-one with a teacher, things like that.
I think
That would be my argument.
If we're trying to use teacher burnout, if they're still meeting kids in person and they're meeting kids virtual. whether
That's
it's
why I
Friday
would
or
say
not,
just keep, on
I
that
don't
Friday,
think
keep
that's
it
helping
virtual.
anything. I think Friday can only be virtual. Otherwise, they're not gonna be able to adjust their kids or their planning or things like that. 'Cause having kids here would not, I don't think would service what we're looking for.
Can we be clear about what Academic Friday means?
Yeah, so actually, that's a great question. So Academic Resource Fridays is something we started the second half of the fourth quarter last year. And what we found, we found that there are students that were starting to not, we couldn't positively reinforce the behaviors we wanted to see when we were 100% virtual. We wanted students to engage, you know what, if you work really hard Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday in the virtual world, Friday is just for our individuals that aren't getting their work done, have had technical issues, maybe were sick. And what we did the last, was it about a month and a half, 2 months? We enacted Academic Resource Friday. So this isn't a 100% virtual environment that we were forced in fourth quarter. We said teachers plan Monday through Thursday. On Friday, you have to hit hard those students that aren't doing the things that they're supposed to be doing. And by the second week, from week 1 to week 2, we've seen a huge reduction in the amount of kids that needed that individualized learning because they realized, if I get all my work done, I can have Friday off, I can do this, We got hunting season coming up, there's all kinds of things. So when we put this in here for our parents, that's what we're doing. If you do 4 days so it's 4 days in a virtual or in person where you have direct instruction, you're learning new stuff, you're doing labs, you're reading. Friday is to make sure that everything that was supposed to be learned that week did. If you show proficiency or you're advanced, Friday can be, we can offer extension. There's some students that will do reading and do other things. I would say for an X amount of time, we say Fridays are Academic Resource Fridays. And then at a certain point, we look at it again and see if it's working, and give parents the right to give us feedback and do another survey. How's it going? And go from there. So that's when we put it in here, we're asking parents with the thought of staying in person as much as possible, because this board, we all agree, students in school is the most important thing. We know social emotional, we know learning, that's the best place for them. Can we stay in school more by going 4 days, giving that 5th day for our staff to reach out to the 100% virtual, that 15% of the virtual students, and also reconnect with maybe some of those in-person students that aren't doing what they're supposed to Monday through Thursday.
And it helps the teachers be able to do that on a Friday versus 7 o'clock at night, trying to track down students and follow up with them so they don't fall behind. Because I think that was a big issue last spring, where teachers were logging on still late into the evening just to try and to stay in touch with some students that were having issues.
And I'm sure that's happening now as well.
Oh, it is. This would send 2 powerful messages. One, student learning is not negotiable. You need to learn and you need to have this done. Otherwise, we're going to find you no matter where you're hiding. And 2, staff, we appreciate everything you're doing. We know you're working hard. Here's a way that we're just going to give that gift of time to make sure you can keep doing what you're doing.
Well, and not only that, I mean, we always make decisions for our children, but we cannot ignore that 84% of our people that teach here are concerned about walking in the door.
Is any of this really addressed time?
It's a step. What's that?
He's shaking his head over there.
I can tell you, from dealing with teachers, talking with them, those AR Fridays are a massive help, because a lot of the kids get their stuff done. So they're not talking with all their kids every day. It's just, I know, like, my son, he was on a meeting with his teacher for an hour, and then they were done. I mean, that was it on Friday. And that was a study session. And she had people who had to catch stuff up from in an hour early. So she was only on for about a couple hours, and then she could enjoy the rest of her weekend or work on some other things. I know the emails and stuff that I got on Friday, usually that happen way into the night or over the weekend, really cut down this week. So, I mean, you talk about teachers talking to parents, or talking to students, they're also talking to me, trying to prep for the next day, and everything, I need this to work, that to work. It was a lot less this weekend than it usually is. So, I mean, yes, it does, yes, they're still doing work on Fridays, but it's not as much as a regular school. So it definitely does cut down on their work.
I was gonna say, put Sandy and Susan up, because I'm curious what their thoughts are. Matt, go ahead, I'm gonna pull them up,
Yeah,
but I'm gonna throw this question to both of them.
I was just trying to correlate our conversation here to last comment or whatever on teacher inputs, and that 75% of staff felt that virtual learning was for predetermined amounts of time or an appropriate mitigation strategy. So we talking the same things here?
I would say that fits right in, that 75% of staff would support that, Shell. So I'm just gonna throw it, Sandy, why don't you start at the elementary perspective? What are your thoughts about a 4-day week with Friday ARs?
Right, I'm gonna go back to something that I think I heard Amy say, and probably Brian echo, that, you know, the older kids can probably handle things a little bit more independently in any form of virtual learning. But the younger the student, the more they're going to rely on the teacher or an adult to help them with what time it is and when I have to be somewhere or how to log on. And in our blended model, that is it's a barrier for the elementary teachers, because they're trying to meet the needs of the kids they have in front of them here at school, and they're trying to meet the needs of the kids that are virtual in their grade level, and they feel like they're not doing either one of them justice. So the idea of having those academic Fridays, at least the two of them that we presented, were received with open arms, because exactly like people have been talking, it allows them only to teach in one mode that day and really reach out to those kids that they feel that they need that extra support, that extra scoop of instruction to stay as close to synchronous as possible. So I know it's appreciated by the elementary staff, and I know it would be welcome.
Thank you, Sandy. How about Susan, can you talk to middle school, talk to the middle school and high school around 4-day weeks? You're on mute.
So with the 4-day week, I know this is something that the building leadership teams at both the middle and the high school have both talked about. And really, they've talked about it for the sole purpose of, well, I should say two purposes of what everyone's been talking about. One purpose is that trying to meet the needs of the students who are learning virtually through the all virtual format, as well as the needs of their in-person learners. So first off, they want to make sure that they're giving their undivided time as well for those virtual learners. And so part of the academic Friday time would allow them that ability to connect even deeper with the students who are in the all virtual format that they don't get to do day to day with all of their in-person learners. And so that's one piece that I've heard from teachers is really just having that time to truly connect with them and give them that individual instruction and attention that they may not be able to do during the regular work week. And then also the other purpose is then to also give more time to work with all the students who may be struggling or may need that additional support with their learning so that way they can be as successful as they can. And then, and it slows it down. When I say slow it down, it means slows it down to where they can give that undivided time without feeling like, okay, I gotta move on now to the next thing. They can slow it down, take some time to really be in the present moment with the kids, instructing and learning, while also then
More
giving them.
manageable portions.
Exactly. And then giving them that time to really plan and prepare for the following week. So those academic Fridays, even though they're meeting, with not as many kids as they would in person, I think those are almost even more exhausting just because of how much time they're putting in. So they're really working hard, but it's good time given back to them that they feel like, you know what, the next week we're off and running with everyone.
Any questions that you have for Sandy or Susan at all?
Are we still able to address the students with like 5 4 points?
So every student with an IEP has a virtual learning plan in their IEP. So Alicia Schwinn, our special ed director, that was one of the things when she took that position this year, made sure that we had very open conversations with our parents. What does school look like in person for your child? What does it look like if we are in a virtual setting? So those would be followed. I think it's probably, we're a lot clearer than we were last year when we were kind of making it up. We learned from it. Our 504s aren't, those 504s are more discussions than legal binding. So I would say we're better at IEPs than 504s, but I'm sure there's some discussions around it, but I can't really speak to one on that. Good question, though.
If I can I jump in on that?
Go ahead.
Because the one thing that we have done, I know Sandy too, elementary, middle, and high, with the virtual learning plans that have been added in as a part of the IEPs, we've also been adding in with our student success plans. Those are our informal school plans, as well as the 504s come up, we've been adding in virtual components. So if we do go virtual, what do these accommodations look like within that virtual arena? So we've been talking about that not only with students with IEPs, but also students with our English as a second language plans, our student success plans, and our 504 plans.
Thank you. I kind of figured, but I didn't want to say it without knowing, so it's.
And let me just add to that, each time we've had meetings with the parents, if they've been on a success plan, if they've been on an EL plan, if they've been on an IEP, the virtual learning component of it has been reviewed. And I know that Alicia last week, when we felt like the trigger might hit, made sure she reached out to all the special education teachers and the support staff members of the special ed department and reviewed virtual learning plans and expectations for everybody there as well.
We know the holidays can be some of the most stressful time of the year for people. And then we know our teachers are already stressed. I'm wondering, do we want to consider for December to go to 4-day in person and for that month try out having all the Fridays be AR Fridays? So our kids, at least by the time they go to Christmas break, everybody's caught up.
And that could work because we do have another board meeting on the 21st of December, and we could review how things went between, now and 4 weeks from now.
I think that would also give us a little bit more of a cushion, having an extra day of non-contact in the week following Thanksgiving.
With the hope of trying to keep them in person as much as possible.
Yeah. And there is, we had, go back to when we had that little 3-day piece where we had to go virtual. That 1 or 2 days goes a long way for contact tracing. So by not having Friday, if you feel sick on Sunday, you don't have to go back to anyone at school because Friday and Saturday you weren't present, so you can just stay home. So really, you're gonna reduce by 20% the need to quarantine individuals because you're reducing that contact by 20%. If that makes sense, just kind of looking at it statistically. I didn't even think of that, but yeah, that will reduce quarantining.
So what we talked about at our retreat was December 11th, having that as a day off. So we're really only talking about 2 more Fridays in the month of December to, you know.
And that might help us in January too, because by then our numbers are rising, so more people will have had it, and then you're good for 3 months. So we might have 5 days for 4 weeks.
And
in
then a
January.
vaccine by March, and we don't have to talk about it again.
It might be a good way to start the year too, if we allow for this in December.
So is this a consensus thing that we're all on board with a 4-day week with an AR Friday, whether it's in person or virtual? You know, whatever
Yep.
we're at for the month of December, is that what we're all talking about here?
That's my understanding. Fridays being all virtual. Right, or,
Right, Friday would be just,
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as make sure, yeah.
Yeah.
And
whether we're 100%,
I got you, for
Or-
the first 4 days, yeah.
yeah, right, whatever those 4 days are.
Tracking.
You have to keep track of the, instruction hours or anything like that. It's gonna mess it up and add to the end of the year or anything.
It'll still count because we have expectations for those Fridays. It'll still count as minutes the same way as we did last year. So we'll be able to still count those minutes. So we'll be good with that. Would you like would another survey that week before the 21st to just ask our families how it's gone for 3 weeks? Would that be helpful as we have this discussion on the 21st?
More
Having
communication
state
is
numbers
better.
at that time, having school numbers at that time, staff numbers, how many people ended up going virtual, how concerned are the parents, how concerned are the teachers. That could be invaluable information at that point, and may make a decision for us for January.
So a survey similar to this, probably a little bit more conformed to what we're trial here with the 4-day with the Friday academic resource. And then we'll look at what our families say on the 21st of December and decide what January will look like. And much like we have with face masks, that we're gonna continue with face masks, every month we can look at it and see, is this the right piece? Because I can tell you, there's no magic bullet. Every district is doing it very differently. I think we've gone the extra mile. This is the 3rd survey, and I thank all our parents that are listening and out there. These are what we use to make decisions. So fill these out, let us know what you think, and we'll keep navigating through this until we're done.
Okay, great.
Okay. Well, thank you. Great discussion.
Next, we have the approval of the 2021 Support Staff Handbook. There was more discussion, some clarification from last month. Is there, I don't know, Jennifer, are you?
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what you want to change and what we're going to approve?
We decided that we will forward it as printed and recommend that we visit in policy to make our change. And the verbiage we would like in here is reference to state and federal protected classes. And in general, no.
To policy.
To reference to policy,
Yep.
and then we'll visit in policy.
Okay,
Sorry.
all right.
just to be
So
clear,
is everybody
We're
clear?
not keeping the same language, we're making a slight change.
Right now, the policy language will hold, so that language is in policy.
Correct,
So
but
we'll
we're just talking
accept-
about the just so we're clear, we're just talking about the handbook. That verbiage is gonna just change slightly to reflect
To the
what's in the
policy.
policy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry,
That's okay,
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure, I thought I heard it a different way.
I think I did print it
Okay.
differently first. So this verbiage is in policy at the moment, but we would like to say just refer to policy.
Okay, so you're making a motion to move forward with the handbook with the non-discrimination clause just being changed to refer to the policy, XYZ or whatever it is. All right, is there a second?
A
Chuck?
second.
Any further question or discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And then we have
It was a great ceremony, and just another way that even in these times, we can find ways to make it work. Keep people safe, but still do those things that, you know what, we shouldn't be giving up just because of the world around us.
It was well done. It really was good, and I think that's so important for our students to hear that message. And because that patriotism starts when you're a kid in school and what you're exposed to. And Mr. Jones did a good job speaking, and it was so great to hear the choir sing and the band and then outside taps. It was well done. Thank you for making the time to do that. And I also like the message from the Adel American Legion, where he wanted to salute our teachers. Because he said this day is about veterans, but he understands really the battle that's going on for education right now, and did a shout out to our teachers to thank them. I thought that was nice too.
It was good. I visited a couple elementary classes, and I was told, even because all of our students were watching it live stream, all the classes got up and did the salute like Mr. Jones asked for. So yeah, it was. I think our students even felt like they were part of it, even though they couldn't be in the gym with them. So all things considered, it was a nice way to have that week with everything that was coming at us last week. To still be able to do that was pretty cool. So on a highlight of that week.
If there's nothing else, is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion, let's adjourn.
Is there a second? Rainey? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.